Let's transition and let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. And the Denver Nuggets, they beat the Miami Heat 94-89 in game 5 of the NBA Finals. It's the first title in team history. And the Denver Nuggets, obviously, they have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, both who are under 30. And so these are the notable players on the Nuggets roster who are under contract next season. Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, KCP, Bruce Brown, and Christian Brown. And Bruce Brown has a player option next season. These are all the players that's notable Nuggets players under contract. And so everyone's talking about whether or not the Nuggets are going to be a dynasty. And so on the Wise Guys Twitter page, the voting results are as follows. 67% says yes, the Denver Nuggets are a new dynasty. So them winning the championship is the start of a new dynasty. 33% says no. Question is, again, I'm going to say it again. Is this the start of a Nuggets dynasty? 67% says yes. 33% says no. So, when I look at the Denver Nuggets, and if the question is asked, are they a new dynasty? I would say no. Let's pump the brakes on the Denver Nuggets being a dynasty. The reason why I would say we need to pump the brakes on the Nuggets being a dynasty is because for me, when I look at the definition of a dynasty, to me, you have to win at least 3 championships, at least 3. And I look at Jordan's Bulls in the 90s. They won 6 championships. I look at Kobe and Shaq's Lakers in the early 2000s. They won 3 championships, back to back to back. I look at Tim Duncan's Spurs. They won 5 championships in the Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich era. And the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, with Klay Thompson, with Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, they have won 4 championships during their dynasty. So I don't believe that the Nuggets are a dynasty yet because they've only been able to capture 1 NBA championship. So let's pump the brakes on the dynasty talk. Now, will they be contenders over the next 6-7 years in the Western Conference? Absolutely. Nikola Jokic has emerged as the best player in the NBA. Jamal Murray is still in his prime and still playing at a high level. Michael Porter is a young player, a young scorer who they still have on their team who can produce. Aaron Gordon, he's not young, but he's still at an age that he can produce at a high level and help this Nuggets team as a role player. Bruce Brown is still young. Christian Brown is still young. So they're going to be contenders in the Western Conference over the next 6 or 7 years. But I'm not ready to say that they are a dynasty yet. Like, to me, a dynasty is a team, after they win a championship, they are for sure the favorites going into the next season. Jordan's Bulls were the favorites going into the following year. They were the favorites going into the next season after they had captured a championship. Kobe Shaq's Lakers were the favorites after they had won their 2 championships. Going into that 3rd year, they were the favorites. After the 1st year, going into that 2nd year, they were the favorites. The Spurs, they always were favorites in the Tim Duncan era. Always. Now, the 1 year where they beat the Miami Heat, after they had previously lost to the Miami Heat the year prior in the NBA Finals, you might could say that the Heat were the favorites, but the Spurs were right there. Because even that year when the Heat beat the Spurs, it took a Ray Allen corner 3 to save the Miami Heat. Remember, the Spurs had that championship won. They had brought the trophy down on the floor. They had the commissioner in the lower level of the Heat arena. That NBA championship was all but won for the San Antonio Spurs. But they are a team as well who's the following year after they win championships, if they have their same core, they're in that championship conversation. And then the Warriors with Klay Thompson, with Steph Curry, with Draymond Green, when they win championships, we always pencil them in as being a team that could easily win the championship the following year. When I look at the Denver Nuggets, as great as this playoff run was for the Nuggets, next year is going to be tough for the Nuggets in the Western Conference alone. Look at the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns, they still got Kevin Durant. They still got Devin Booker, two of the most prolific scorers in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors, they're going to be back in the mix as well with Steph Curry, with Draymond Green, with Klay Thompson. Okay, the Memphis Grizzlies, if they can mature, if Ja Morant can get his act together off the court, the Memphis Grizzlies will also be in the conversation for contenders in the Western Conference next year. They got Desmond Bane. They got Jaren Jackson as well. And look at the Sacramento Kings. Just like the Memphis Grizzlies, they are a young team on the come up with De'Aaron Fox, with DeMondre Sabonis, with Mike Brown, the reigning NBA Coach of the Year. So next year is not going to get any easier for the Denver Nuggets. Can they get back to the NBA Finals and possibly win an NBA championship? Absolutely. But I wouldn't say that it's a foregone conclusion that the Nuggets are going to be your 2024 NBA champions. They're not. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that is definitive that they're going to be in the same position next year. That's why I can't say that they are a dynasty quite yet. I can't go that far. I can't. And honestly, when I think about all-time great teams, Jordan's Bulls were great because of Michael Jordan. Kobe and Shaq's Lakers were great because of the greatness of Kobe and Shaq. Tim Duncan's Spurs were great because of Tony Parker, because of Manu Ginobili, because of Tim Duncan, because of Greg Popovich. The Golden State Warriors are great because they have the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history in Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God has ever created. And they got Steve Kerr, a great head coach in this league. When I look at this Denver Nuggets team, they're not great to me. They're good, but they're not great. And in order for me to consider you in a dynasty, you have to be considered great in my book. So I wouldn't say that the Denver Nuggets are a dynasty at the moment. I think they are a solid / good team that will definitely be in the mix for a team that could represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals next year. And they deserve to be the favorites heading into next season because they did capture their first championship in franchise history. But to say that they're a dynasty off of one playoff run, I'm not ready to go there just yet.